to sound off on the game you just heard. Now to break it all down, here's your host, Justin Garcia.
A historic night tonight for Damian Lillard. I guess we start things there as earlier in the game, Dame becomes number 5 on the NBA's all-time three-pointers made list, moving past one-time Buck Kyle Korver. And we knew that was on the horizon. We knew that was going to happen in all likelihood in today's game. What we did not know was going to happen was that Giannis was going to set a franchise record for points scored in a game. You had a good feeling that Giannis was going to be dominant. I mentioned those numbers on Bucks Weekly last night and just how efficient he's been this season, but also in the last 12 games, now 13 this season. And the reason why we point to that portion is it coincides with Giannis missing that game against the Toronto Raptors. And ever since his return, he has been a much, much more efficient player. I think it coincides with Damian Lillard looking much more comfortable in the system with his teammates as well, and Damian Lillard becoming more efficient. But in those games played since then, since Giannis returned from missing that game, he has been absolutely incredible. He's only been incredible for the whole season, but he has been outstanding in those now 13 games, and the peak of that was tonight, where he scores 64 points on 28 field goal attempts. 20 of 28 from the floor. Takes 32 free throws in this game. Only 7 players now, including Giannis, have ever done that in an NBA game. A lot of that list is the usual suspects, which you could guess, right? Some of those names, not so much. When you see some names like Andre Drummond, DeAndre Jordan. The other two are Dwight Howard and Wilt Chamberlain. So it's been done 7 times. 5 players total have done this. Giannis is now in that category. 64 points scored is an NBA season high. The previous high was 54, which he also did against this Indiana Pacers team. And I mentioned this on the network postgame, but in 3 games played against these Indiana Pacers this season, Giannis has now scored 155 points. Better than 50 points per game in those 3 games. He has made 52 of 72 attempted field goals. That is 72% field goal shooting. And he has made, most impressively, 51 of 63 free throws. 81% for Giannis. 52 points, 72% shooting, and 81% free throw shooting is Giannis's average per game this season against this Indiana Pacers team. There are no more words to describe what we continue to see from Giannis, who, when it's all said and done, with all due respect to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, is going to go down as the greatest player in franchise history, and he adds one more accolade to that list tonight. So many times throughout the last few years, including earlier this season against the Pacers, when Giannis was just so close to grabbing that franchise record for most points scored in a game, and now he gets to add that to the ledger as well. Oh, by the way, he continued his streak of 30 points scored while shooting 60% or better from the field. Tonight it was 60 points scored while shooting 60% or better. 70% or better for that matter in tonight's performance with 71% shooting. But you just run out of words to describe what we continue to see from Giannis on a nightly basis. I talked about this on another show earlier in the week. This is quite possibly, for a career for a player who has been, 7 consecutive All-Star games. He's been the team captain of multiple All-Star teams. He is a perennial All-NBA and All-Defensive player. He is a 2-time MVP. He is a Defensive Player of the Year. He has won an NBA championship. He has been the MVP of the NBA Finals. And this is quite possibly, at a quarter point of the season, the best season Giannis has put together or started to put together so far. 855-616-1620, the Old National Bank Talk and text line to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. We'll just keep this one simple. Superlatives for Giannis. What you've seen from him. How would you describe tonight in one word? And more importantly, Where does this season rank? I know it's not done yet, but what we've continued to see from him, we'll point to some of those efficiency numbers once more. Where does this rank in terms of the best seasons we have seen from Giannis? 855-616-1620 is that number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. More after this as we'll get to your thoughts and continue to take a look at this defense. Are they taking the right strides? We'll take a look at some of those numbers as well after this on Bucks Talk.
You're listening to Bucks Talk.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scafidi for Omaha Steaks and omahasteaks.com. You want to be the person everyone says, oh my goodness, gives the best gifts. How about this one? The gift of Omaha Steaks. Send it to a friend, family member. I've done this. You'll never forget their smile when the next time you see them, they say, oh my goodness, that was amazing. It's a favorite memory. Omaha Steaks is perfect for the holidays. The holidays are here. Take the guesswork out of that shopping. Go to omahasteaks.com, save 50% off site-wide. Plus, use our promo code WTMJ, get an additional $30 off your order. Juicy butcher's cut filet mignons, gourmet jumbo franks, even easy-to-prepare meals that are ready in a flash. With Omaha Steaks, the possibilities are endless. Offer won't last long. We're ready to ship your order right away, so shop early, beat the shopping rush. Go to omahasteaks.com, use promo code WTMJ, $30 off your order. A gift from the heart. Visit omahasteaks.com, enter the promo code WTMJ, get an extra $30 off your order. Make your holiday. Minimum order may be required.
Hi, Dennis from White Lace Inn here. Since 1982, Bonnie and I have been providing comfortable elegance, sincere hospitality, and romantic getaways at the White Lace Inn in beautiful Door County. The White Lace Inn, 18 incredible rooms and suites within 4 Victorian homes, each with a beautiful queen or king-size bed. Enjoy a romantic fireplace and the warmth of a whirlpool for two. White Lace Inn gift certificates. It's the perfect holiday gift, and it's so easy, you can do it right now from your computer. Go to whitelaceinn.com and take a tour of each room, then click on the gift certificate icon or give us a call. In a few days, you'll receive your gift certificate, which never expires, in the mail along with a brochure to put under the tree. A gift certificate for White Lace Inn. It's a wonderful idea. The White Lace Inn on the Door County Peninsula is open every night of the year. Check out our website now, whitelaceinn.com. The White Lace Inn in beautiful Door County.
If you're like me, you always like to add a little something new to the wardrobe. But when money's tight, it makes it harder. And that's why you shop at St. Vincent de Paul for a terrific selection of women's clothing at thrift store prices. Brand names, too, with a selection that's always up to date and looking great. You're going to find something cute at the right price, and you're going to love it. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
Ooh, you're going to love it. St. Vincent de Paul.
The Round Ball Repartee returns. This is Bucks Talk.
40-126, the final. The Bucks beat the Indiana Pacers, and more importantly, look, if the Pacers had won this game tonight, they would take the season series, which could loom very large, as a win would move the Pacers one game closer to the Bucks in the standings. It's still a quarter of the way through the season. But the way this Pacers team has played, and granted they have some massive questions defensively, but this is a team that isn't going to go away, and you get the sense they're going to linger throughout the course of this upcoming season. You can't just take a Sharpie and write down the Bucks are going to win the Central. So losing the season series this early could have been something that could loom very large. So you avoid that. Your next game against the Pacers is in this building on New Year's Day. And then your final game, 5 games against this Indiana team this season, regular season I should say, is 2 days after that in Indianapolis. So a big win all around for the Bucks for a number of reasons. Not only avoiding that, the performance of Giannis, the history for Damian Lillard, and I do think we started to see some signs of improvement up until the final couple of minutes of this game when you could say, you know, it would have been nice for the bench to hold that lead. Not that they gave the whole thing up, but to hold that lead so you didn't have to bring the starters back in. But you built up a bit of a comfort zone, and you kept it until the final 2 minutes of this game. And that's something we've been harping on for weeks. It's all well and good to figure out how to win these clutch games and figure out how to win together as a team. These are important things. But it would be really nice to not have to rely on winning some of these clutch games and win by double digits once in a while, and you got that tonight. 855-616-1620, the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. Let's head to the phone lines and talk with Dick in Port Washington. What's going on tonight, Dick?
I told your screener I should be called Richard tonight in honor of Giannis and Damian's accomplishments, but you didn't do that. So,
well, I didn't know if he was joking or not, so that one's on me.
No, I'm Richard in big moments, okay. And it was great to see those guys do that tonight. But I've got a couple of points here. First of all, this kid from Oshkosh and his family, what they need to know first is that the best players always have some humbleness to them until they win a lot. And I'm talking, for example, Klay Thompson in California. He's always mouthing, and he always shows 4 rings. As soon as you show the 4 rings, you're done. This guy hasn't won anything yet. Okay, that's one point. The second point is I spent some time today trying to understand this clutch points statistic in the NBA. And I just come to the conclusion that just clutch points mean that you can play good defense to get to the point where you weren't behind by 5 points. So I'm not so sure that's a good metric, but that's one opinion. One question I have, too, tonight, and believe me, I don't want to go against the officials, especially after the green thing last night, but I don't know if you noticed, but in the discussion to kick Portis out, he pointed to 2 technicals, and then right after that, pointed that Portis was kicked out of the games. They're supposed to have no memory of what players are left with what fouls or whatever. I question that. I'm sure Portis deserved to be thrown out. That's not my point, is that the official, without ever checking with the scorer's table, kicked him out. So he knew Portis had 1 technical already. Face value, that looks bad for the NBA officials. And now to my other point, I told you I was going to call the event related to our coaching. I thought he did a great job in the first half bringing young guys in and stopped a lot of the fast breaks from happening. He did very well with that tonight in the first half.
Yeah.
Where the heck was it in the second half? And then one of the things I started to notice in his post-game interviews, he's talking about them, the players. It should be us. Coach Bud always said, we. I think one of the mistakes a rookie coach may make is that he's still trying to determine some authoritarian rule, but yet be a coaches and player at the same time. And I think he needs to learn that there's a point there that you have to separate that. I'm still shaky on this, but tonight was a big game, and they won. I think in the future here we're going to get a lot more questions as to his capabilities as a first-year coach to handle the talent that he has. As I said the other night, I still think if Drew would have been here and we played with the same guys, just add Beasley, it would have been a lot easier for him to coach. It's not so easy now with what we've got. So that's what I've got for tonight, Justin. Let me hear what you got.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Dick. There's a couple of things that you touched on there that I do want to get to. The last thing is the interesting one in the makeup of this team, because, look, Griff has said from the onset he's a defensive guy, and I think you and I talked about this last time too, that he constructed this system or came in with this system that he wanted to run defensively, and a week before the season starts, you don't have Drew Holiday. That everything he wanted to do on the defensive end, it still may not have worked with the overall personnel the Bucks have, but it makes more sense when you have Drew Holiday, and so does Malik Beasley starting. MarJon Beauchamp and Andre Jackson Jr. tonight were where the game changed because it's a very small sample. But when we view the perimeter players in 2 games against the Pacers this season, those 2 guys were basically your best option when you look at the plus-minus. And I've preached long that plus-minus, that's not the be-all, end-all. It doesn't tell the total story of the game, and a lot of that is dependent on the situations you're in the game, who else is out there on the floor with you. But it matches the eyeball test with these 2 guys, and especially against this team that gets up and down the floor, that plays at a fast pace. Those 2 guys, and especially Andre Jackson, I should say, are the most well-suited to play that style. And I don't think it's coincidental in that second quarter, they really started to take over. Late in the first and into the second quarter, it was that duo teaming up on the wings defensively. Andre Jackson Jr. staying in front of Tyrese Halliburton and frustrating him for large portions of the game. Doing the same thing to T.J. McConnell. You knew it was going to start to turn, and you knew Tyrese Halliburton was going to figure out a way to get to the free throw line and draw some fouls on a rookie. But those are the types of things. The way Andre Jackson Jr. plays, he's going to pick up fouls because of his aggressiveness, his aggression, I should say, and just the fact that rookies seem to be magnets for fouls. But the energy that he brings is certainly contagious. In many ways, it's almost like seeing Thanasis out there on the floor, where it's just hard not to want to play the same way, not to want to get out and run when you see him getting a rebound and causing a turnover and him doing the same things. It just brings that energy to this team, and that's what they were lacking early in this game. And look, the other thing is when Tyrese Halliburton did get cooking in this game, and this is not to single anybody out, but it was those moments when Malik Beasley had to take the matchup. It's not Malik Beasley's strength. That is what you would look to Andre Jackson Jr. for. And to your point of Griffin doing a good job early in this game, maybe not so much later in the game, there were a few moments in that third quarter when you looked at the personnel the Bucks had on the floor and said, well, how is this group going to stop Tyrese Halliburton? When it was no Damian Lillard out there, and not to suggest that he's one of the stoppers, but in terms of your offense, if you're not getting stops and not scoring, it's especially problematic. You had Cam Payne out there. You had Bobby Portis out there. Andre Jackson Jr., MarJon Beauchamp, and Giannis all on the bench, while Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner, and others were out there for the Pacers. That's when they started to claw back. So I do think we've seen Griff at times get better and better at his adjustments and figuring out when do I go to certain players depending on matchup. And tonight is one of those things you would view and say, okay, we won the game. Here's some opportunities for moving forward. But for me, look, I think a lot of Bucks fans and a lot of all the listeners to the show are probably in this category as well. Tonight was another one of those signs, if you needed one, to tell you Andre Jackson Jr. needs to be playing more. I'm going to assume part of this was the back spasms and just waiting until he was fully 100%. It was about 2 minutes that he played in the last 4 games. And even tonight, it wasn't an overwhelming amount of minutes that he played in this game, but he was impactful in those minutes. For Ajax, 14 minutes tonight, he made an impact, and he did it with scoring just 2 points. So he needs to continue to get these opportunities because, as we've talked about, what can you do defensively to really spark things here? Look, a big part of this is the absence of Pat Connaughton and Jay Crowder. That's not to say when they return, this defense is going to shoot up into the top 10, but it's especially big to be without those 2 guys against a perimeter-heavy team like the Pacers. And I do think you're going to see some growth when those 2 guys are back, and assuming they come back at 100%, and Jay Crowder can come back and be the version he was before that injury. But you're very limited with your assets that you can move, and especially with movable contracts, that for everybody that wants to point to, well, what about this player, and what if we traded for this guy, those moves are going to be difficult. With the new CBA, with the assets that the Bucks have, your best route at improving this defense and finding an impactful individual defensive player is more than likely going to be developing and continuing to get growth from Andre Jackson Jr. and MarJon Beauchamp, and especially for Andre Jackson Jr. Tonight was another big step there. 855-616-1620, the Old National Bank Talk and text line to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. Again, 64 points from Giannis, a franchise record, a new career high, the most points scored in the league this season. And Damian Lillard, oh, by the way, becomes number 5 on the NBA's all-time three-pointers made list. So a lot of big individual moments in this game tonight. A couple of other things that Dick touched on I do want to get to, including the officiating. And this is not a let's beg on the officials comment that I'm going to make, but I think we've started to see some interesting trends as it comes to officiating this season. We saw a little bit of that tonight. I'll tell you what I mean after this on Bucks Talk.
The Hardwood Homilies continue after this. This is Bucks Talk.
This holiday season, give your car the gift of care with Griffin's Holiday Service Specials. For just $179.95, our expert technicians will pamper your ride from bumper to bumper. Get a complete oil change, thorough tire inspection and rotation, a fresh air filter, new wiper blades, and a meticulous multi-point inspection to ensure everything's in top shape. But wait, there's more. We'll even check your battery and make sure your car's heating is holiday ready. Don't let winter weather get the best of your vehicle. Head to any of our 5 Griffin dealerships and unwrap the gift of worry-free driving. 'Tis the season for happy savings and happy car. See Griffin for details and restrictions.
Isn't this the best time of year? Wisconsin has the green and gold, Milwaukee Hoops, Wisconsin football, basketball, and volleyball. What more can Wisconsin sports fans ask for? As Wisconsin's 3PL, Evans Transportation knows that it takes a team effort to make things happen. And when it comes to manufacturers' accounting, shipping, and tracking needs, Evans is the supply chain team you're looking for. Good luck to all Wisconsin teams from Wisconsin's 3PL in Delafield. Find them at evanstrans.com. That's evanstrans.com.
Give their favorite gift this holiday season with the 2024 Brewers Kids Crew Kit presented by U.S. Bank. Each kit sets up for an epic new year with 6 ticket vouchers, a ballpark tour, and exclusive Kids Crew swag, including a Brewers City Connect jersey. Check off everything on their wish list for just $35. Order by December 17th for guaranteed holiday delivery. Learn more at brewers.com/kidscrew.
There's an inviting holiday chill waiting for you at your local Merle Norman. Our holiday 2023 color collection is available now, featuring a gift-worthy opalized palette filled with 9 limited edition soft touch shadows. Pair your palette with 3 shades of crisp candy cane scented tinted lip balm, including neutral cashmere cream, a dimensional plum shimmer, and red sangria cream. Shop all holiday limited editions while supplies last at Merle Norman Cosmetics Salon and Spa at Brookfield Square.
Welcome back to Bucks Talk.
More dominance from Giannis tonight. 64 points scored. The Bucks scored 140 as a team. Giannis had 64 of those. A Bucks franchise record, a new career high. And he outshines Damian Lillard, who became number 5 on the NBA's all-time three-point shots made list, as Giannis continues to dominate. 155 points scored against this Indiana Pacers team in 3 games this season. 855-616-1620, the Old National Bank talk and text line to join us on the show. I do want to get to a couple of those other things that Dick mentioned momentarily, but we head back to the phone lines and check in with Will I Am. What's going on tonight, Will?
I want to make 3 quick points here, and then I'll let you do your thing. But, man, the Giannis and Dame historical nights, you can't beat that. I know every night I'm always, tweeting that he's going for 50, but it didn't seem like that until that second half where he just could not be stopped, and then just pretty much allowing him to go to the free throw line to torch the Pacers really made me feel good. The second point I want to say here is, I think you and I both agree, we kind of needed that left hook from the Pacers to kind of wake us up and realize, we're the Milwaukee Bucks, man. We're not going to let the Indiana Pacers try to throw us around at home on a historical night. And I love how our team responded. Enough's enough, and we just took it into overdrive there, allowing us to get the outcome and, the crazy fanatics from both sides, with the excessive amounts of technical fouls, and you could tell something was brewing the way that they were trying to heavily officiate this. I mean, these teams do not like each other. They're really head-to-head, and you saw the cap bust open at third or fourth quarter when things just got out of hand. And then to end on a positive note, well, kind of a funny note, but Giannis always seems to find himself in kind of random drama. You know, a couple years ago, it was the ladder game in Philadelphia, and now just trying to get his basketball back to put on the mantle, and you got the Pacers assistant coach taking it. I mean, for being a superstar, if those are only the headlines you deal with, I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of our team, and we really came together on this one, Justin. What do you think?
Were you in attendance tonight, Will?
Oh, yeah. Lost my voice. Almost fell over. Love it live, man. You got to love it live.
You mentioned the officiating, the way they officiated this to try to keep control. Did you get a look at what was going on between Bobby Portis and Obi Toppin? Because it was basically right in front of our view, and you could sense, as you pointed to, something's brewing here, like something is about to boil over, that it was on that play just after the double technical where the Pacers then tried an alley-oop of sorts to Obi Toppin, but Bobby Portis kind of cut him off on the baseline. And I was frankly surprised Bobby didn't get whistled for a foul, and it was just an out-of-bounds because he bodied him a little bit, and Obi was just kind of starting his leap for that. But the two of them immediately started jawing at each other down the floor, and you just got the sense of we just had that flagrant against Giannis. Bobby stepped into the rescue. I'm sure there's some hard feelings there between the Pacers and Bobby Portis, and now we see Obi Toppin join with him. The game feels like it's getting out of reach. I feel like we're going to see something boil over here.
Yeah, again, I don't like the fact of the 3 technical fouls in the first quarter. That already sensed problems. Obviously, the chippiness of the in-season tournament that our lovely friend Dick hates. But listen, that all added up, and, you know, I feel like the Bucks said, hey, if you guys can't win the in-season tournament for us, we're going to show you why we should have been there. And tonight, you know, when Giannis got tackled like he's playing football, I'm surprised that no one got ejected on their end, and it was only a flagrant one when we've seen very minimal flops or bumps equating to flagrant 2s in this league this season. So, you know, a crazy game of all proportions. Another game where we had to, you know, fight through the fire, walk through the fire, and tops off to our boys, man. We did it. We showed them how it's done, and let's go Bucks, man.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Will. And look, he mentions that technical against Giannis in the first quarter. That was a borderline ridiculous technical call. That was there a little bit of a, not even shove, but maybe just sticking your arm out a little bit just to let Tyrese Halliburton know you're there? Sure. But this wasn't Giannis seeking contact. It was from the onset. There was some ominous tones with that. I was a little surprised, and I made mention of this on the broadcast too. I was a little surprised Bobby Portis didn't get ejected. I thought on that flagrant, you were going to see 2 ejections. That I thought both Aaron Nesmith and Bobby Portis would get ejected because those were the 2 that kind of got in the scuffle after Giannis suffered that foul. And I thought in light of what we saw between Draymond Green and Yusuf Nurkic, and we've seen officials, by and large, quick to the whistle with technical fouls this season, not just with physical altercations. Nikola Jokic got tossed on Serbian night in Chicago last night. We've seen a lot. Giannis got ejected for technicals earlier this season. So there's been a lot of that you just kind of got the sense. I wouldn't be surprised if both Nesmith and Bobby get ejected here just to kind of keep control of the game. It didn't happen then. It happened a couple of minutes later for Bobby Portis on his second technical foul. But yeah, this was an incredible night tonight from Giannis. And I do want to get to what happened at the end of the game because Damian Lillard cleared up a lot for us on our post-game interview with him. And there's been some more developments about what Damian Lillard told us on that post-game. So I will get to that in just a moment. Let's go back to the phone lines, though, and talk with Justin in North Carolina. What's going on tonight, Justin?
Hey, man, with us both being hockey fans, right, but I'm not even going to throw you no shade tonight, Justin, but you know I got it in my back pocket for you. Dude, Halliburton, he talked all that trash and then tried to run through the Greek Freak. And all Giannis did was let him know, hey, I'm not a movable object for you, buddy. You can't just run through me. And he gets attacked for that. Like, I'm sorry our guy's a freak of nature. First of all, and I ain't called in a while, but Giannis gets hacked up and down this court every single night. And the amount of BS that doesn't get called for him and then gets called against him, it's laughable. Now, Bobby did nothing wrong. This dude out here, Justin, to your circle again, you're a WWE guy. This guy was out here like he was Chris Benoit or CM Punk or whoever, body slamming Giannis, and Bobby steps in. That's what Bobby is supposed to do. He's the mayor of our town, and anybody on Twitter or anywhere else talking about trading this guy, this is why he goes nowhere. That's why. And the second technical, like, that's so weak. He said nothing. Matter of fact, Bobby walked away from Obi or Abi, whatever his
Obi was the
name
one that
is.
was initiating the back and forth chatter all the way down the floor.
So, Obi, you can't get mad at Bobby because you were a lottery pick and Bobby's a better player than you, and you didn't live up to who you are. You're not that good. All you Pacers, and I hate to say it, and I really wanted to call in Happy and be like, shout out to my guy Dick, but shout out to the guy before me too, because, oh, man, he's awesome too. But shout out to Dick because Noora got on the floor, but we can't even talk about that because these Pacers are a bunch of punks. That was punk basketball the entire night. You tried to set a tone, and you ran into guys like Bobby and Giannis, and they stopped that tone. Never mind the fact that there's no one on that team that can stop anyone. Halliburton asked you what time it is. It's freak time now. He just dominated your squad. We're going to do it January 1st, and we're going to do it January 3rd. And every time we see you, it's on site now. And, Justin, I hate these guys. Like, straight up. Like, it used to be – so, you know, I'm born in Milwaukee, 82. I hated the Bulls. I hated the Celtics. I hated the Sixers with Barkley. I hate these guys just as much because they talk too much, and you've done nothing. You didn't even win the in-season tournament. You're a runner-up. You're a damn bridesmaid. I'm so mad tonight, but it's so good to talk to you again, my guy. It's so good, and I just love the way this Bucks team is going. I love the way Dr. Griffin is getting these guys going. And, Dick, I know you said you got to kind of keep them in line, but actually I think you got to let these guys get going. Maybe this gets Dame going. Because I'm going to bet you one thing. I'm going to drive across the state line from North Carolina to Virginia January 1st, and I'm betting on Dame Lillard to go for 50. Because I think it's coming.
It's long overdue. Thanks for the call, Justin. That's the other thing is I know you've heard some people like, yeah, I thought Damian Lillard was going to score more. It's coming. Like, it's part of the chemistry and that familiarity and recognition of where everybody's going to be. You saw a few more miscues tonight where Dame gets the screen from Bobby Portis, thinks he's going to get the short roll, and Bobby just popped out for the three rather than rolling towards the hoop, and it results in a turnover. There's still some of those little things that are just going to take time and more reps on the floor. But I promise you, Damian Lillard, we've already seen high 30s games for Dame. I promise you, Damian Lillard is going to have maybe not a 64-point night, but he's going to have one of those games. But I think what he has brought to this team in terms of their mentality, we've talked about that quite a bit in these close games, and granted they haven't won every single one of those, but it does boost your confidence, and it changes things when you look behind you and you know, we got this guy on our side. And you can't help but wonder, man, is some of his superpowers of his clutch play and especially his free throw shooting late, is that rubbing off onto Giannis? With what we've seen recently, again, he's become very efficient all over the floor. A lot of that is the work that Giannis continues to put in, but a lot of that is having Damian Lillard there and changing the gravity and some of the looks that he gets, and Malik Beasley, for that matter. But Giannis is moving closer and closer to that 70% free throw number or better, and that's the number we keep pointing to, because if he can consistently sit there, as he has done now, for these last 13 games that I keep pointing to, that changes things immensely. 855-616-1620, the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. Still a couple of calls out there. We will get to you after this. And I mentioned we did get some clarity from Damian Lillard after the game when he was talking with me and Dave Kane. And now we've seen some more developments from the Indiana Pacers as this war of words seems to continue between the Bucks and the Pacers. We'll fill you in after this on Bucks Talk.
You're listening to Bucks Talk.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Stop into Ken Michaels Furniture for our sale on Bradenton Young. Made in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains, Bradenton Young is an American icon in quality leather upholstery. Whether you are looking for a power recliner or stationary seating, BY's furniture is made with enduring quality, outstanding comfort, and timeless styling. Save 35% now on Bradenton Young upholstery at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield and Greenfield. Visit us today.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
Our production department really kicked it into gear this season, and we finished before we thought we would. And we'd like to keep our people working until the snow flies, so we're going to offer a discount. Now, a lot of discounts you hear about, they're just off an already inflated rate that ends up right in the same slot as everybody else. In this case, because we're past our break-even point, we can offer a real discount. And here it is. We can afford to take 10% off your roofing project if you call and sign up before the end of the year. If we can't get to it because the weather turns south on us, we'll still hold your price for next year. And this isn't some fugazi discount. It's 10% off what our pricing would normally be. It's for roofs only, and it expires at the end of the year. So take advantage of a nice discount on top quality workmanship from good people who care. We're Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
Get the help you need Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix-It Show with David Nason, featuring great tips on how to operate your home. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. And at 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact NX Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at nxwealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ. The Round Ball Repartee returns. This is Bucks Talk.
All right, I promise you we will get to the developments in Game Ball Gate, but we do have some more calls to get to, so let's head back to the phone lines and talk with Mike in Shorewood. You're up next.
Hey, what's going on? Great night tonight. Giannis, just incredibly impressive, setting the franchise record, and to do it against, I think this feistiness with the Pacers started back last week when they defeated the Bucks in the in-season semifinal game. I'll give it to the Pacers. I know they get up and down. They're fun to watch. Halliburton, incredibly, they're the most efficient offensive team in the league. So I know the Bucks, when you play the Pacers, you're going to get in shootouts like this because they're across the board. I think they own just about every offensive stat. And so the Bucks showed they can play that pace as well. So you're going to have a high-scoring shootout, and I expected that. And as you mentioned, I think once Connaughton and Crowder get back, I think this team's really going to really take off here with Adrian. I know being a young coach, typically you don't get a loaded team like this. You typically get a bad roster. But the Bucks are in championship mode, and as the season goes on, I think he's really going to starting to settle in, and as you're seeing now, I think the Bucks are really going to take off after that slow start. Now they're only a game back by Boston, who's kind of fallen back to the pack, and I really do think they're going to overtake Boston for that top seed because Giannis, to me, and Dame are still the best two duo, and once you throw in Middleton, I think they're the best trio in the sports. So I expect this really to get going. And once, like I mentioned, Connaughton and Crowder get back, I mean, they're going to be just so loaded. Guys are going to be fighting for minutes, in the second in the rotation coming off the bench there. And lastly, as far as the I don't know what the hell that was. Was that gamesmanship by the Pacers? Typically, when a guy sets a record like tonight, the game ball stat official gives them the hands on the ball. I don't know why the hell they thought that giving it to Sheway scoring his first basket would fly here in Pfizer. And great, I love to see that out of Giannis. When you bring out that he's typically such a nice guy, comes from European culture, but you see that ferocity comes out every now and then, and it looked like, man, when he bum rushed to the locker room, I'm thinking, oh boy, you got to look out. We don't want him to get suspended for doing anything, crazy. And luckily, everything simmered down. But I like this. I hope the Pacers make the playoffs. I don't know if they will, but I think the Bucks Pacers in a first round matchup, I think they can be a 7 or 8 seed. That would be incredibly watched because these two teams are really chippy and they don't like each other. So great win. Salute to Giannis, and he's only going to break more records. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, thanks for the call. There is certainly chippiness between these two teams. The Pacers will make the playoffs at the very least. They will make the play-in tournament, but I think they'll be probably a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference. I, for one, though, could do without playing them in the playoffs because, look, I know it's different when you're scheming during a 7-game series versus regular season games. But that's a lot of scoring that you're going to have to contend with, especially if we think the Achilles heel for the Bucks is going to be their defense. So I'll let somebody else try to figure out the Indiana Pacers in a 7-game series. And so Mike brings up those developments that I mentioned. So Damian Lillard, when we were speaking with him, had said the Pacers took the game ball and insinuated they did so as a somewhat passive-aggressive move because they were maybe upset that Giannis re-entered the game and that the Bucks left their starters in as late as they did, and that Giannis kept scoring. And I think especially that final basket that he had, that dunk to put him to 64 points, that seemed to really irritate them. And I will say, you couldn't help but wonder, man, what are the optics here? When you got all 5 of your starters in yet, the Pacers would eventually pull the plug and go to their bench. Adrian Griffin left the starters in. And you wondered, how much longer are you going to do this? I get the point of, look, this is a team that scores a lot of points. And maybe our defense doesn't get a lot of stops. We don't have a deep bench without Pat Connaughton and Jay Crowder. So let's keep these guys in. Let's play until the end, until we feel like this is out of reach. As he just noted, the Pacers were claiming we wanted the game ball for our rookie Oscar Tshiebwe. And in the last 20 or so minutes, the Indiana Pacers official Twitter account retweeted a tweet from November 12th by the Pacers Twitter account that reads, Oscar Tshiebwe moved to the United States from the Democratic Republic of Congo as a teenager to pursue his basketball dreams. After starring at Kentucky and being named a unanimous National Player of the Year, he went undrafted in this summer's NBA draft. Last night he finished with 33 points and 23 rebounds in his first professional game, becoming the first player in Mad Ants history, that of course their G League team, to record 30-plus points and 20-plus rebounds in a game. His mentality is something everybody should hear. Inspiring story for Oscar Tshiebwe and his background and how he landed in the NBA and collegiately at Kentucky. Giannis and other players can relate to that. The Indiana Pacers retweeted that tweet, again, which was originally sent November 12th, some 20 minutes ago, and added, Oscar Tshiebwe moved to the United States from the Democratic Republic of Congo as a teenager to pursue his basketball dreams. Tonight, he realized his dream of playing in the NBA and scored his first career points. So this seems to be the Pacers, who were upset largely due to the way this game unfolded, how chippy it was, and I'm sure they were set off by how Giannis kept scoring and the Bucks left their starters in late. and resorted to petty tactics if we're going to try to get the game ball and we're going to give it to our rookie and we're going to say, well, he deserves it because this is his first career game. Congratulations to Oscar Tshiebwe for everything and all the adversity he went through to get to Kentucky, to be the National Player of the Year, to go undrafted and still find a home with the Pacers, to play in the G League and now to reach the NBA and score your first career points. That is all well and good. You should be proud of that. It should be celebrated. Oscar Tshiebwe's first career points does not hold a candle to Giannis scoring 64 points in a game. And outside of that, it's not even close to Damian Lillard climbing up to 5th on the all-time three-pointers made list. So
it's not even in the same state.
In terms of pettiness, it is off the charts by the Indiana Pacers. And there were reports after the game as well by Pacers beat reporters that said, look, the Pacers found out they didn't even get said game ball, that it was actually one of the security officials that took it before that. And what the Pacers got and took back to the locker room in the ultimate petty move wasn't even the actual game ball. Now, there is video out there, as we just heard from Mike talking about the fire from Giannis, and look, I like the way he approached that, and why would anybody want to agitate him? There's video out there of Giannis and that interaction with Tyrese Halliburton and Pacers assistant Lloyd Pierce, where if you read his lips, you can see he is telling them, go get the, I'll let you guess what word, ball. And it turns out the Bucks had it all along. So just a bizarre night, but one filled with history as Damian Lillard becomes number 5 on the all-time three-pointers made list, and Giannis becomes the Bucks' leading scorer in a single game with 64 points scored in this one, a new career high, and again a Bucks franchise record for most points scored in a game. Let's squeeze in one more call here. Milt from Portage, you're up next.
Yeah, hey, thanks. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for my call. Hey, I got a kind of couple observations here. I'm almost home, but thanks for taking my call. With when the Bucks picked up Damian Lillard, and when he had that great game against Philadelphia right away, and I'm an older guy. I'll be 57 here at the end of the month, and lifelong Bucks fan. Watched a lot of games. I think my expectations are too high for him. Like, I think he's going to make every shot after he hit that big one against Philadelphia. And then with the kind of the Bucks in general, after winning it, and this is myself and, social media and everything, if we don't get up by 20, I kind of got like a feeling right away, like, God, I'm pissed. And I think, and everybody's on, like our defense. I thought tonight, if we just would have cleaned up our defensive rebounding, and I think all year, and I don't want to make an excuse for the guys, it just seems like every, bad bounce or odd bounce, bounces over the backboard, or we don't get it. I don't know if that's just me, but I just kind of looked up, when we won it in the 2021 season, we were 16-13 at one point. So I'm pretty happy with where we're at right now, and I kind of like the sandbox stuff that's going on right now between the Bucks and the Pacers. So thanks a lot. I'm just about to pull up in Portage. Go Bucks. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the call. And look, that is a good point of the expectations for Damian Lillard. We talked about it before and said, look, he had a big game or big close against the 76ers. He did the same thing against the Knicks. He's had some of those moments. The Raptors game you would probably point to as his best individual game so far this season. It was a bit of a slow start, and we mentioned look, he does this historically. Anybody that watched him in Portland, a lot of Blazers fans that get into Bucks fans' mentions as well would tell you he's just a slow starter. There will be those games. They're going to come where Damian Lillard is going to erupt. But I think the encouraging part is how we have seen Giannis transcend his game and take it to another level. And again, I think a lot of that is the spacing, the gravity that Damian Lillard creates, his other teammates as well. Malik Beasley has gone through hot stretches as well where he's knocking down everything in sight. A.J. Green, Giannis joked about it the other night. Even A.J. Green is hitting shots when I pass it to him, that he's had more shooting around him this season than he's ever had. And I think you see that in terms of his efficiency so far this season. And the Damian Lillard piece is going to come. It's just going to be a process, and we've cautioned from the start. This is not going to be a 20-game process. It's probably not going to be a 30-game process. It may not even be a 40-game process. It's going to take time for how much change there is with this group. And I think Damian Lillard's a big part of that. We all assume when we say this, the defense is going to take time, and it will. But the offense as well. I mean, look, you also have to factor in. You are without, for all intents and purposes, your offensive coordinator in the role that we assumed Terry Stotts was going to play with this team. He's no longer here. He had that playbook that Damian Lillard was familiar with, and we heard early on at Media Day and early in camp of all these plays that Terry Stotts could go to of, hey, Dame, remember when we did this? Well, now we're substituting Yusuf Nurkic for Giannis or LaMarcus Aldridge for Giannis, right? And that changed. So that's part of what's going to take some time for Damian Lillard, but it's just the mentality and I think the confidence that it brings to everybody else to know Giannis and Chris and Brooke, even throw Pat Connaughton and Bobby Portis in there, the chemistry that group has and the games that they've won and those moments, the big moments they've been in and figured out how to win and thrive and succeed in these spots. You have that, and now you add Damian Lillard and say, oh, by the way, we got this guy who is renowned as the best closer in the game. He's on our side now. So it's going to start to come, but the good thing is you haven't had to rely on that just yet. Giannis isn't at this efficient level. He is. Brook Lopez has looked very good. Chris Middleton offensively has looked very good. Malik Beasley, I just mentioned, the hot streaks he has been on. So you've had more than enough offense to survive with Damian Lillard maybe being a B version of himself so far. And if this is a B version, this is, again, I know Drew Holiday brought more defensively and everything else that he brought. But this is basically the offense you got out of Drew Holiday last season. That's what you're getting right now from Damian Lillard. That was not the expectation. But that's basically what you're getting, and I think there's the understanding it's going to continue to improve. I mentioned that efficiency from Giannis. Some numbers that back that up. If we go back to mid-November after he missed that game against the Toronto Raptors, what Giannis has done since then, it is absolutely astounding. We'll tell you about it after this on Bucks Talk.
You're listening to Bucks Talk.
It's here on consignment from over 10,000 nationwide partners. From very high-end, distinctive furniture, unique antiques and original art, to tasteful home decor that can fit almost any budget. Premium home decor priced right at 25 to 40% off retail prices. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Smart interior designers know that what they'll see here is going to be almost impossible to find anywhere else, especially at our consignment prices. Premium home decor that's gently loved and close to new. And what we carry can raise the wow factor of anyone's home decor. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
What's going on in the commercial insurance market these days? Talking with Jeff Salazinski, VP of Insurance Operations at R&R Insurance.
Thank you, Vince. Today, the commercial insurance market is being defined by three things. Catastrophic storms are destroying the capital of many insurance companies. Multiple years of inflation are driving claim costs up significantly. And the cost of reinsurance is a huge financial challenge to many insurance companies. With rising premiums and strict underwriting, your insurance program must be part of a more strategic discussion. Does your agent have a plan to deal with these strict underwriting demands that are now in place? Has your agent laid out a plan to mitigate these premium increases?
So, Jeff, what's the solution?
Sharing market insights and their related impact while laying out strategic options for your business are what R&R Insurance does best. We've been doing this for 48 years. At R&R Insurance, we know business insurance.
That's Jeff from R&R Insurance. Thanks for the great info, Jeff.
You can give them the same old, or you can surprise them with something unique from St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Store at a bargain. Almost new, but really cool. The thing about thrift store gift shopping is that you never know what you'll find, but when you find it, you'll know it's right. That's what makes it fun. And if you just can't choose, gift cards are always available at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
The round ball repartee returns. This is Bucks Talk.
Ain't no way they can stop me now.
14-point Bucks win over the Pacers. They finally beat the Indiana Pacers this season. And, oh, by the way, Giannis scores 64 points. The most points scored in an NBA game this season. The most points scored in a single game in Bucks franchise history. The most points Giannis has ever scored in a game. A night to remember for Giannis and Damian Lillard, who with his second three-pointer in tonight's game becomes number 5 on the NBA's all-time three-point shots made list. Okay, the one thing you do need to know before we wrap up here, I mentioned things have seemingly fallen into place a lot better for this group after you had that stretch of 3 games where Giannis missed a game against the Toronto Raptors. You had Damian Lillard missing a pair of games that following weekend. After that, it just seemed like Giannis's absence triggered some things for Damian Lillard and vice versa. Dame's absence did some things for Giannis as well, and maybe even a refresher after he missed that game against the Raptors. The numbers back that up, especially for Giannis. So after that game against the Raptors, Giannis missed that game. He has played 13 games since then. The Bucks as a team have played 24 games so far this season. In those 13 games that Giannis has played, the Bucks are 10-3. Giannis is averaging 34 points per game over those 13 games. Only Joel Embiid is scoring more at 36 points per game, and this dates back to November 17th. Joel Embiid, number 1 in the league, 36 points per game. Giannis, number 2 at 34. Joel with just 9 games played, though. Giannis is up to 13 in that stretch. He is shooting 65% from the field in those 13 games. Now, in case you were wondering, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is up to 60% in that stretch as well. That's over the course of 10 games. Embiid is 55%. Giannis is averaging just over 1 3-point attempt per game in those 13 games. He is 8 of 12 at the free throw line. 70% free throw shooter in those 13 games played. He's averaging 12 rebounds a game, 6 assists a game as well, 2 steals and just over a block. He has been dominant, and he has been efficient. 11 double-doubles in those 13 games and 1 triple-double. The efficiency this season for Giannis, statistically speaking, this is the best we have ever seen him. And he is a player who, again, is a perennial All-Star, a perennial All-NBA player, a perennial Defensive Player of the Year, All-Defense player, I should say. He is a Defensive Player of the Year. He is a 2-time MVP. And this is the best we have seen him. An absolutely frightening thought. Speaking of frightening, the prospect of being the team that snaps the Detroit Pistons losing streak, we'll see. They have one more game between now and Saturday. It's against the team they lost to tonight, the Philadelphia 76ers, as the Pistons lost in Detroit to Philly. And now Friday night, they go to Philadelphia to take on those 76ers before coming to Milwaukee Saturday afternoon for day 2 of a back-to-back. And it is the possibility of the Detroit Pistons coming to Milwaukee, owning a 22-game losing streak. In case you were wondering, the NBA record is 28. And also, there's a lot of things to continue to clean up here for the Bucks. But offensively, they're starting to figure out a lot of this. They're starting to look very, very efficient, especially Giannis. But it's starting to look like that rolling juggernaut we expected this offensive group to be. Defensively, still some work to go here. And again, it'll continue to get better when Pat Connaughton and Jay Crowder do return. Jay isn't going to be until mid-January. Pat Connaughton may well be Saturday against the Pistons, as Adrian Griffin alluded to that, Saturday or Sunday, when the Bucks have the Pistons and then the Houston Rockets. But that's the last thing we'll leave you with tonight. You never want to look too far ahead here. But where the Bucks are at in terms of the schedule, an opportunity has opened up here. You're 1 game back of the Boston Celtics. It's still very early. It's too early to worry about the standings. But an opportunity to start to stack some victories here. And again, a team that's still figuring things out. For all the doom and gloom and all the reasons for panic and things to point to of why this wouldn't work out, Bucks have the second-best record in the Eastern Conference. 1 game back of the Boston Celtics. And now you have those Detroit Pistons, who may be the owners of a 22-game losing streak. Either way, they have the worst record in basketball. That's who you have up next. Then you have the spunky Houston Rockets, who have been a much, much better team this season at 12-9. But that is a game you're going to be favored in and should win. It's a Rockets team that's very, very bad on the road so far this season. After that, you have the San Antonio Spurs, who currently have lost 18 straight games and may be bringing a 21-game losing streak to Milwaukee on December 19th. And then you have the Orlando Magic, who beat you once, again in a game you played without Damian Lillard. They've been playing very good, especially on the defensive side, but the Bucks have been very good at home this season. It'll be a similar test to what you saw against this Pacers team tonight. A spunky team that's been playing very good, albeit the Pacers are all offense, Magic are all defense. But it's another game you should be expected to win. And after that, 2 games in New York against the Knicks, a Knicks team you're 2-0 against already this season. And one of the guys that have given you the most problems in those 2 games, Mitchell Robinson, will not be available in either of those 2 games. This is a golden opportunity to start to fatten up on some of those teams that are a little bit beneath you. Again, not the dregs of the league, with the exception of the Pistons and the Spurs, but teams that are beneath you in the standings. This is a big opportunity for the Bucks to start to pad their stat total, their win total, with some of these opponents on the schedule. And again, in January, you have a lot more of those games. You got another game with the San Antonio Spurs. Who knows where the Golden State Warriors are going to be at that point. Draymond Green may still be suspended, by the way. Indefinite suspension for Draymond Green that was levied earlier tonight. You got 2 games against the Pistons. You have a lot more of those winnable games. It's not until very, very late in this schedule that things start to really intensify, and I think the hope is by then that chemistry is developed, this team has started to meld, our defense, maybe not solved, but is continuing to take steps forward. That's ideal for the Bucks, for the most difficult part of this schedule to come late in the season in a year full of change. Saturday afternoon, it's the Bucks and the Pistons. 5 o'clock tip time. Make note of that tip. 5 o'clock Saturday afternoon, it's the Bucks and the Pistons, and our pregame coverage begins at 4:30. As always, be sure to stick around after the game for more Bucks Talk. We will talk to you Saturday afternoon after the Bucks and the Pistons with Bucks Talk.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Once you've lived with it, you know